let you know we're working on a
You want an investment edge, but all you hear is noise, hype, and half-truths. Every signal is solid information, but only if you can see the bigger picture. This is where the Quasar magic happens. Weather, charts, news, all financial signals, funneled into a single dashboard. Data alone isn't enough. Quasar Markets turns it into energy, sharp, clear, precise. Optimize with Quasar Markets today, your edge when investing.
Good morning, Quasar Markets live. Futures are green, gold is glittering, and BigBeat is back at his desk. How we doing there, Steve?
Oh man, it's been a long week. I'll tell you that much. I had the pleasure of being, as everybody here knows, the New York Stock Exchange Monday through Wednesday for UNGA UN General Assembly I speak at, and Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday I was in, and Friday I was in Charleston, South Carolina, and then Washington, D.C. Now, I call this channel checks, Howard. And I'll tell you, I have had a chance to see most of the East Coast, and the world is not fine. I don't care what anybody is saying. You can say whatever you want to say. You can say, oh, everybody's happy, and they're not happy. Airlines, I'd never walked through the airlines so fast in my entire life. Travel is down. People are unhappy. But there is a separation. The haves are having, and the have-nots are have-notting right now. That's what's happening. It's very simple. You and I have talked about this for a while, that people with money are enjoying life. The people without money it's rough, and it's going to get worse, and jobs losses are going to pick up, and inflation is picking up. And what we have been talking about, Howard, and you and I have been dead on, it is stagflation. It is happening. I know that government doesn't want you to know that the president thinks that everything's fine, and it's happening. Inflation going up, job losses, it is happening. So, that's, while it sucks, but just kind of prepare for it. That's all, and I think that's part of it. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. With that being said, we are set to open at all-time highs again. Gold at all-time highs. We are on shutdown watch.
The government's going to shut down. The economy's in the shitter, and the stock market's up. Look, the last time this happened was a place called 2008. The last time it happened before that was the dot-com. Everybody was happy during dot-com. The world was happy. The poor people were not doing very well, right? But dot-com was a blast for a lot of people, especially in the technology sector. And guess what happens, right? I mean, Oh, but this time is different. No, this time is no different. Just the variables that go into it. This is still the same. Things are not good, and I think people need to understand that. And it will fall down. And irrationality lasts longer than the numbers. So I understand that, and I have gone through this. But when it happens, it's like, oh, well, you didn't tell me, or I didn't know, or my mortgage broker didn't tell me, or my banker didn't say anything. Your banker's telling you everything you need to know. Margin debt is being pulled back at the fastest rate in history. Banks aren't going to make the same mistake they made in 08. They can't. Legally, they can't anymore, right? I had a long chat with some people about Sarbanes-Oxley Act over the week. They're all saying the same thing. Rules are constricting us, but we don't care because the retailer buying. Oh, but the retail always leads us out. Retail hasn't let us out of anything. The retail is what gets into trouble, right? Because they don't have risk management, and it's happening. And I'm not trying to bear bad news, or as I said on Schwab, I'm not bringing you roses today. I just want people to understand what's going on so that they'll make better decisions. That's what Quasar Markets is all about. And so I think that when you looking at investing here in the next few weeks, that I think people need to understand that AI is still a theme. And I love AI. I mean, I've been talking about AI for 15 years. I'm part of we're running software for it. But it's not that great yet, right? And I know because I'm writing stuff technology they don't even have yet. Sorry, Sam, I understand that. But what I think people need to understand is if you're looking at the future and you're looking at investing, okay, you got to look at every opportunity out there. And if you're telling me the stock market's at all-time highs, and you're telling me that gold is at all-time highs, and you're telling me that banks are doing what is going on? And oil is not 64.18 a barrel. No. There is something. There is a big disconnect here, and when things disconnect like this, it usually means something's wrong. So that's kind of my thoughts for the week. I did like Charleston. Charleston's a beautiful city, by the way. It's very nice. The downtown area. It's got the beaches, and I had a chance to go, hang out with rich people. I got to hang out with poor people. So I'll tell you, there's a disconnect. There is a disconnect. I was in New York City. I can tell you. Mom Donnie's going to win. Eric Adams drops out, right? I'm in Tampa. I was in D.C. Nobody in D.C. I mean, D.C.'s a mess. I mean, how I don't tell you, right? I mean, it's a mess. You got a picture that can't keep. I mean, that's just like if the White House right now was a normal company, the stock price would be zero. I mean, the tariffs are literally destroying the markets. And I mean, they're
not the market,
not the markets. I'm sorry, the people, because go to grocery store. I mean, it's terrible for some people. No, it doesn't affect me because I don't care. But it's not fair. It's not fair what's happening out there in the world right now, and it's really starting to affect people. And I think we're going to start to see. I mean, the approval rating with President Trump has now hit 33% this morning. I mean, we're Nixon levels now. And when you look at how are we going to go next level, how are we going to get to where we're going next, it's got to be tech getting us out of this. All right. And you can't bring manufacturing back to, because I'm wearing the new Apple Watch. I've got the new Apple phone. Right.
You finally got you.
Got me. Well, I mean, we're gonna try it out. Right. So, okay. But I can tell you right now that the biggest win for Apple is not going to be the phone and the watch, it's the services. Right, I bought the news. I bought even Apple Arcade. I never play games, and this is what's happening. Right, is that we are a service country. We're not a manufacturing country, and if we go back to that, you bring us back. Right, so we can't go back in history and go, oh, well, let's go manufacture something else. All right, what are we manufacturing? Well, we're manufacturing John Deere. We talked about this last week. John Deere, Caterpillar, and we talked about it from the perspective of Intel, right? Those three companies that are right now pushing up now have not made anything new, have not manufactured anything new, and haven't sold anything new. I said electric tractors would be kind of cool in the future, and I agree with that. But that's less people working. That's less manufacturing. That's still services. right? So there's a lot of things here that just is not working tonight and working in this administration, and I don't know what's going on. So now Trump just says he's now going to make substantial tariffs on furniture. It's like it's a daily chaos, and I get it. Out of chaos is opportunity, but it's not opportunity for people who are poor. It's not. They're not going, "Ooh, I can't wait to buy AI stock." They can't wait to buy groceries.
Yeah.
Right. And you look at the rich people are like, okay, well, what is my AI doing for me? Well, if you're not putting it to good use, you're just chatting up and asking questions about your personal life. You're creating an AI robot for yourself. Okay, that's not helping you, right? It's a toy. And right now, we don't need toys. Right now, we need to understand the world. So right now, I get it. Stock market's up. Good for them. I don't think so. I think it's coming. I don't think it's bad. And I said it the other day. I see it said on TV 3 times, 12 to 17% pullback. And I believe this. It's going to happen. It might actually get worse as people as retail start to realize, you know what? Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I shouldn't have bought Palantir at whatever godly number it is right now. It's not matching. I love it at 35. I don't love it at 175. As I said the other day, Nvidia. Nicole? You want to buy Nvidia up here? Right? No, I don't. I want to see a pullback so I do want to buy Tesla at 440. Guess who that helps out? Elon Musk. His pay is based on the stock price. So he's going to spend a little bit of money to get $1 trillion. That's what I'm saying. That there's a major disconnect here. And I think it's where we're at. So all right, I'm off my soapbox.
Okay, well, now that you've gone through that, let's start with the fact that Qs are set to open up about 70 basis points, SPY about 50 basis points. All 4 of the major indices looking to open to the upside. VIX moving back below 16 here. So once again, I will give everybody the same speech I do on a weekly basis. Under 16, buy your protection now when it's cheap. It doesn't matter if the market goes up or down. Volatility is needed either way. Gold, Steve, can't stop, won't stop. Peter Flanagan said 5,000 is what he's hearing from his folks at Goldman Sachs that he trusts here by the end of next year. Are you a buyer of gold still to 5K?
I'm not a buyer of gold, but I'm a buyer of silver. But precious metals. I had a long chat with a guy in Charleston who's a gold and silver dealer, and he can't keep in stock. Guess what the number one selling product in Costco still is today?
I guess
gold. And why? And that tells you right there that the retail community that wants to buy gold really doesn't understand how to buy gold. They're going to a pawn shop and selling grandma's gold here is picking up. Again, the disconnect, right? So take advantage of that, right? If the economy is doing so wonderful, if people are so happy, when you see scrap gold pushing up like this, which is what scrap gold is. If you don't know the difference between gold and scrap gold, that's very simple. When you go to a jeweler or a dealer or whatever, they take your gold, you take grandma's gold, you take mommy's gold that she no longer is using, and they melt it down. They don't even give a shit about the diamonds. They kick the diamonds out, right? They melt all the impurities out because there are impurities in it, and then they say, okay, this is how much gold you have. This is your ounce, and here's your pay. That's scrap gold, right? Gold, refined gold is when you see it in a bar or silver. I've got silver bars in front of me here. I can pull one up. I think there's a silver bar. It's a little bit like that. Got lots of those. When you that's refined silver, right? Or 0.9999. There's always a little bit of I'll get everything out. When you start to see that, it's happening. And where's it happening? Peter told you where it's happening. It's happening in countries. It's happening on a geopolitical issue, right? Because they're having a hard time. But I can't eat gold. I can't eat silver. And trust me, when you start to stack gold and silver, it's because people have extra money to buy gold and silver. Well, you're not poor. Again, the disconnect. So that's what I'm saying. And I think there might be, you're already seeing protests coming up everywhere. The president just sent more to Portland and Oregon. I mean, it's a charade at this point, right? It's slam it here, and try to. It's like whack. You know what I'm calling it right now? I might just do it now. I'm going to call this the whack-a-mole economy because that's what's happening right now. It's one thing or another, but people don't know what to do with the whack-a-mole, and they are literally they're buying gold and silver. They're buying Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin couldn't hold down. It's back up to what 112.2 now. Again, it's already back up. It's going to sell off to 30,000 or whatever. It's too much money in the sidelines. Howard, you know that. That's what we know, right? But I said the same thing. There's still $7.2 trillion in money market money sitting on the sideline. So there are people waiting to put money in. But where is that money coming from? Is that the new money? Is there new money coming in from the government? Nope, no COVID. Sorry. So where is it going to come from? It's not there. And this time is different because there's no money in the U.S. government to be too big to fail. There's no printer going to go burr this time around. It just can't. The economy will fail. The United States of America will fail. We do not have the ability to have too big to fail this time around. So when I say that, that's why when you buy stock as a retailer or whatever, you go on margin to buy that. The bank has to give you that money. It's like lending you money, like buying a house. You're paying on that, right? And you hope to make money, so you pay them back. Banks now don't have enough money. The Federal Reserve does not have enough money. And guess what's happening in literally 2 days? If we don't get a budget deal, President just said he's not even going to talk to the Democrats.
They're meeting today.
They're meeting, but he ain't going to talk to them. He's not going to go.
He's meeting with the top four, I guess.
Okay. You think he's going to get something deal? He's got 2 days to get it done.
I don't know. And will he get a deal? They always get a deal. Listen, so, we can't go backwards because you and I both said the same thing. Shutdowns really don't matter.
Shutdowns matter this time around, I think. I think this time do matter. No, will the market bounce back? We know that it always does, right? We always know it does. And I have lived through several shutdowns when I worked for the White House. I mean, I lived through that.
The shutdown takes, the low level people are the ones that are the first to go.
Exactly. And what happens? The disconnect is getting worse and worse and worse. Right. That's what I'm saying. And it's what and every bad thing that can happen to the poor. It's not fair. But it's the economy we live in, and as one of my rules, play the game in front of you. So this is the game in front of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I did want to add, Peter Thomas also said gold is now a technical metal because the chips that all these companies want all have gold in them. And he's seeing a bigger move that the technical side of it is moving the needle a lot also. Dollar back down here a little bit, 97.86. So pulled back on Friday, pulling back again today. We'll have Mr. Flanagan on in a bit to talk all about that. But weaker dollar. Yields 10-year at about 4.15 right now, down about 14 basis points. 30-year down about 25 basis points. And as Mr. Flanagan just pointed out, shutdown, showdown. The deadline is Wednesday at 12:01 a.m. The bigger risk that you have is, or to me, is the data risk. Is what happens is your non-farm payrolls, your jolts could be delayed. Some of that stuff would put a little bit more wariness into the market for sure. Steve, yeah. You see EA is going private?
I mean, I'm sorry, mergers and acquisitions. How long have you and I been talking about M&A is going to happen this year? It's everywhere. It's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and the numbers are going to get bigger. Why? Well, now, how is all these happening? Well, in the past, we just had stock buybacks, and those buybacks are getting slower and slower. So let's just accumulate companies, and that's what's happening here. Yeah.
Yeah, EA is going to go private, $55 billion. Payout is $210 a share. Largest leverage buyout on record. Silver Lake, the Saudi investment fund, Affinity Partners, which is the president's son-in-law, rolling 9.9% cash deal. Shares are up about 5 to 6% in the pre-market. Their gaming pipeline obviously would be steadier under private ownership. The debate is what will happen with some of the games in the ESG side with PIF being involved. It should be a fun one. I mean, I'm a huge fan of EA. It's one of the few game subscriptions I actually pay for.
I mean, I love EA Sports. I mean, it's in the game, right? You know, I've talked about Unity Software when Unity Software was around 12 and 13 bucks a share. Today it's at 43. Right? I liked it at 13. It's at 43. Unity writes the back end for most of the software games that we use today in your watch and your software and your iPad and your computer, right? Services. I don't know how to explain it. It's services. This is the world that we live in. It's the services, you know, I should say in this country, right? And so, you know, it is interesting why EA is going private. They don't want to be at the mercy of the markets anymore, right? They don't need the money. They've got great games, and they can stay private and do what they want. And that's that may be eventually what happens. And guess what EA is doing? This is exactly the smart move on EA's part. They're doing something that the majority of fucking people, traders, I apologize on that. FCC will be up behind now. What majority of traders can't do, and that's risk management. They're like, hey, well, let's get out on the high and take it private. Let's go. That's what's happening. If you don't believe me, look at gold prices. If you don't believe me, the world's falling apart, look at oil, which is now dropping again. 63.72 an ounce or a barrel. The world is doing exactly what I've said. It's exactly what's happening. And
you brought it up. We'll segue a little bit into oil here, as you mentioned, both down about 1.5% to 2% on OPEC plus supply chatter and the Kurdistan Turkey pipeline flow resuming, stoking oversupply concerns. Cheaper crude, is that tailwinds though? Can we trade that with the airlines? Your favorite RCL, you know, just got cheaper for them to get a cruise around.
Well, they buy
Mike Nash would like that since he's got his new little cruise going out of Boston.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we've talked about it for a while. Oil prices are too high, and here comes the oil. And then I said that on street.com on the air up in New York. I said that for the most part, oil companies don't like this oil this low. They don't like it because it's cheap, right? And they don't like oil at $110 a barrel either, because it's unsustainable. People get excited and they don't buy the oil, and the oil prices come back down, and then they don't like that. They want steady flow, pun intended. They want steady flow, and that steady margins is around $75 a barrel. And we're not getting that. And we are seeing with the stands, as we know, I used to work that division, State Department. They got oil. When people say drill, baby, drill, it's literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. We have so much oil. It's not. Well, I talk about it all the time. We have so much oil. It's not even funny. It just flows. We just have holes and holes and holes and holes of oil. Like, it's crazy. The Gawar in Saudi Arabia is running out of oil. When people think of Saudi Arabia, they're like, oh, they got all kinds of oil. No, they really don't. And that's why they're changing. That's why they're sovereign wealth funds. Right. That's why they're changing to what they have the most of, sand and sun. Right. So we know this. Right. So we don't use our own oil as much, so that we buy cheap oil from somewhere else, take it here, and then we use it, and then down the road we will sell it to them at $500 a barrel. That's the thought process for I guess over 100 years now. So yeah, no, I agree. I think airlines are in trouble. I think the airlines are really. You've seen that with Sprint. You're looking at it now, winners and losers. I agree. I think I'm sorry, not Sprint, Spirit Airlines.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I was on Breeze a couple times because that's where I couldn't go any other way. But yeah, United Airlines. I'm so used to nice planes, and nope. I flew on two planes that literally I thought was out of the 1970s. One of them had a no smoking sign in it. What?
That's yeah. I love when you get one and they still have the ashtray in the armrest.
What are we doing here, folks? And what year is this, right? Yeah, and that's what. Again, even the airlines are cutting back, and they're doing the same thing. Yeah. Good morning, Marilyn. Good morning, Flat Steve.
Steve, a lot of talk, as you're saying, that things aren't as good as they are, and that there could be some serious counterparty risk and leverage situations out there. And Wall Street Journal did a big article on the fact that, it's great that OpenAI and Oracle have a $300 billion 5-year deal. It implies that Oracle needs to borrow about $25 billion a year already, 82 billion added to their long-term debt. So Moody's flagged them for this risk. And Oracle is reportedly lining up about 15 billion in bonds to help fund the cloud build out. That's just the start. You Stargate, DC expansion, the data centers, 5 new AI data centers. This is it actually going to happen? And at what cost, and what does it mean to those companies? All of this seems to be, debt is what we're hearing right now, right?
Well, I'll be happy to tell you that the University of Illinois beat USC.
It did.
Yeah, I was very happy about that. And in talking about University of Illinois, it's the tech central. Most people don't know this. Outside Silicon Valley, Illinois is a powerhouse when it comes to technology. That's where the internet is. The top people who, and like myself, who graduated from University of Illinois was Mark Andreessen Horowitz, and the richest man in the world, Larry Ellison. Larry Ellison is a graduate of University of Illinois. And so
he supports University of Michigan football.
But he supports University of Michigan. So thank you for telling me that, Howard. I reminded of that in Barstool Sports. Thanks, man. Technology is still the key. And Larry and Mark and those people all know each other, right? They know they look, the technology teams all are friends. They all know each other. They're all doing the same thing. And when you talk about these mergers and acquisitions, they all have to go to the same banks, and the banks are in New York and in LA. So, yeah, I mean, banks don't have if banks are pulling back margin money, they still got to make money on something. So, guess what they're going to do? They're going to give it to people that aren't going to bet on the future the wrong way with zero DTEs, and they're going to give it to people who are literally going to bet on the markets the right way by investing in the future. So I'm okay with this. I agree with the banks in doing this, the JP Morgans and Goldman Sachs, and underwriting this. And yes, I think that it's easier to sell if OpenAI doesn't work or AI doesn't work out. Then they have these warehouses. Yeah, that might suck, but they'll find something on the technology to go in there. So this is not a dumb play. This is a very smart move. And Mark Zuckerberg did not borrow $1 trillion and spend the $1 trillion for all this technology because he didn't think he was right. The stock was around $97 a share. Today it's at what? I haven't even looked yet. It's like triple times that, right? Because he realized that Apple's falling pretty hard here as looks like some profit taking here in early trade. Ticks slipping a little bit here. I think Apple's stock should push right. We're seeing Q's take a little bit of a breather here. We're about to be open here in a second.
Pulling down here. We are about 2 minutes from the open here. Yeah. Pull up the charts for us.
I don't. I think you're going to see some profit taking today a little bit. I think throughout the day. I mean, I think as news comes out about the shutdown, I think you're going to see that.
Would make sense. We do see SPY and the Qs are falling to the downside here, although advanced decline is at 3,000 here, so one of the highest marks we've had in a while. So nice move to the upside in the pre-market. We'll see how that translates into the cash open. As Steve said, gold keeps setting new all-time highs. Today, 38.31 on the spot market was the all-time high. Steve, silver now worth 46.73 there, Steve, on that way to your $50 call there.
Well, I said 43, so we got there, and I tell you, I think it's right. I think we're going to 50. I think we're going to all-time highs on silver.
And WTI and Brent both down more than right around 1.5 percentage point here, getting set to the open. When it came to early morning gainers and losers, a lot more gainers than laggards so far this morning. And we are open. Let's see what we get here to start it off. Sort of subdued start there on the Qs.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Almost like, hello, did we just open? What just happened? Not much going on there. That's a big nothing burger. Same thing, even crypto. Bitcoin just sitting in that same spot, 112,250 or
180
so.
here.
4,100 on Ethereum. Not real much going on there. That's not very muted. Dow Jones opens up 21 basis points here. SPY 37 basis points. The Qs 55 basis points. And the RUT small caps up 52 basis points. VIX did pop up to 1583 here at the open, up about 3.5%. Move on the DXY to the downside, not too much, but a slight move there, back down to 97.85. Apple and Netflix opened down about a 0.5 percentage point each. Nvidia, nice move to the upside, back above 181.75 here, up 2%. So chips moving to the upside here this morning. And that's across the broader spectrum. Intel seeing some pullback here, down about 3.77% here. So Intel falling to the downside. Most of the others, though, moving up with Nvidia.
Yep. Apple's still selling here.
Tick is slightly negative, advanced decline, stayed right around that 3,000 level. It spiked up to 4,000 quickly, but we had about 1,000 companies that were slightly up that are now down. So Q's trying to regain 600 here, 599.65 right now.
Royal Caribbean up almost 3% here. I mean, yeah, cheaper oil. There you go. There's the price. That's what we talked about.
Kellanova up about 4.85%. That's a little surprising here. And I could not find any news at all. So that was a little surprising.
Silver trying, gold and silver trying again.
SanDisk, nice move to the upside, up 7% here this morning. Same thing, Western Digital up 7.73% here this morning. Nice bounce back by IREN, IREN, Bitcoin mining company, up 5.64%. Galaxy Digital also bouncing back nicely, up almost 5% here this morning. Lam Research, another one that had been beaten up last week a little bit, up another 3% almost here this morning. Not a lot on the laggards. Kingsoft Cloud Holdings, the Chinese ADR, was about the only real loser. Now we see Instacart getting hit here this morning. Instacart down about 5.77% here. Upstart also down 4.3%. So we've got a couple things here getting hit pretty hard this morning. We look at the different sectors of the S&P. It's a mixed bag here. Energy and utilities, downside. Real estate, downside. Healthcare, a little bit of downside. Consumer staples. What's leading right now is XLK, which we know is technology, and then the industrial sector, which is XLI, are the two up the most so far here today. Tick still negative and now advanced decline down to about 2,400. With that being said, Qs remaining pretty well up above that 599.50 area here. Dow Jones has given back a lot of its gains, moving back down to the up only about 7 basis points here. Same thing. The RUT was up over 0.5 percentage point, now at lows of the cash market here at 24.43. VIX rising up here, 1591, so threatening to move above the 16 handle here this morning.
I am shorting Tesla here, Howard.
Oh, let's get over that. Tesla up about 1.97% here. UNH getting hit here down at 342.82. Robinhood, nice move to the upside, 125.63. Nice little move up about 3% here this morning. Copper up at 29.81, the copper fund. Nicely to the upside, up about 9% since
I am short 449 a quarter there on Tesla there.
Mr. Flanagan says we get to have a front row seat to more political BS. Markets are telling the story, still pushing up. It's just not a big deal. That's how I feel about government shutdowns, just because I lived in D.C. through so many of them. They are like, well, this time, and you always say this time is different. Don't say that. But this time might be different. The president has threatened to fire a lot of people, and he does not like headcount. And for those of us that lived through his first administration, knows many friends that were doing the job of 2 or 3 people, as they don't hire back quickly.
They do not. No, they do not.
Alibaba up 5% here this morning.
And you always want to have people that are in the know of how to do things in DC.
Yeah.
Because people get unhappy when they want their benefits or their Social Security, or when they want their Department of Defense working correctly. You don't want people not there.
IREN up 8.48% here. Pony AI up 8.64%. Western Digital up 8%. So chips and the connectors that make those things work together. The data centers are all moving nicely to the upside. I see APP, AppLovin up 4.22% here. AVAV, I like that one. That's that AeroVironment. They're up 4.58%. Drones, we did see, I don't know if it was over the weekend or the end of last week, Russia used a huge amount of drones to attack the Ukraine. It does look more and more like that's how battles will be fought in the future, huh?
In the future?
Well, now, I mean,
you mean now? I was like, yeah,
and into the future, I guess. Yeah, I guess I'm sort of meant as, the difference. I did fall down that rabbit hole. There's a company in Turkey that's making these drones for Russia at a cost of only like $300,000 a piece, when we're paying like 1.4 million for ours. And they're using like propellers still versus our, things. It's going to be an interesting thing. Like I said, it was a rabbit hole that I shouldn't have gone down, but it was interesting. It's all about the drones. MicroStrategy up about 2.16%. Michael Saylor did buy the dip again this week. But a smaller buy, one of his smallest buys of the year, only 100 and I got it right here. $196 Bitcoin, just a small purchase for him. Won 196 Bitcoin this week. Sort of like Steve.
196 Bitcoin is a small buy. That should tell you everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Yep. We'll say also, Steve, keep your eye this month. The SEC has to make decisions. They can't punt it down the road anymore on a bunch of Solana ETF, XRP ETFs, and a few basket ETFs that are looking to launch. So could it provide either a boost or a kick in the teeth to crypto? Just something you want to keep an eye on this month.
And I don't think there'll be a kick in the teeth to crypto. This administration and the SEC is not. They are very friendly, so I don't expect a kick in the teeth.
They've been pragmatic though. With they've had a very while they've talked a good game when it's come to these ETFs, and I'm okay with it, they've actually been not just approving them all. So they've said if they don't, because there's a couple here that want to put like a basket of the top 10. I don't know that we need those ETFs.
No.
I'm good with a Solana ETF. I think they make sense. And especially those Solana staking ETFs that allow those folks to gain that 7 to 10% extra that they can get from that. I do see, and I've seen Solana, Osprey, which has their fund that does that, similar to what Grayscale did back in the day with GBTC. I have seen their ads all over financial news networks recently. Ticket is slightly negative. Dow Jones has gone negative on the day. With that being said, Qs have broken through the, well, now I said it, they broke back below, but right at the $600 level there. SPY at 664. RUT's only up 13 basis points. It has been pulling back throughout the morning here. VIX trying to break through 16 already. Gold 38.26, now up 1.8% here this morning. Bitcoin did make a nice little jump to the upside here. 112,633. A hold over 112,500 would be really positive for Bitcoin in general here today.
For those of you who were paying attention and were with me on this, I just took profit on Tesla. Look at that sell-off. I just paid for my weekend.
There you go.
Look at that sell-off, baby. Woohoo!
Costco down with a 0.5 percentage point here, Steve. I'm getting interested in Costco here.
Bitcoin pushing up here. Loving that. Costco. I mean, I like Costco. I think Costco's going to be okay, you know.
That's what I mean. They're down, pretty significantly here from their highs over almost at 1,100, 107.8, now trading at 909. I think at 880 or so.
Oh, my bad, folks. I'm sorry I got out too soon. Look at that selling. But I caught it right. So
Robinhood now up 3.3%, continuing to move to the upside. Chinese names, we're going to have to ask Mr. Flanagan about that. They had some pretty good industrial numbers over the weekend. Has most of the Chinese names moving tremendously to the upside today.
Yeah, agreed.
As I say that, CNBC just said news out that hedge funds are piling into Chinese stocks again.
Yep, that makes sense.
PD up 1.71. Yeah, I mean, you got to assume, Steve, although I read an article that's saying that China was really going to push Trump to oppose Taiwan's independence as a...
Oh, yeah. That was a talk of the town in D.C. It was that, right?
Yeah, that's what I sort of heard from some people. Same thing, that's really in the works. And at first I got really pissed off, and then I never really realized that that's not much of a change from what we've ever said.
That's correct.
While privately or in other ways, we've always sort of backed them up. Publicly, most presidents have always sort of held the line that, status quo at best is what we're willing to commit to.
Right.
So I was a little surprised by that. I didn't really realize that. And what I was saying is Chinese industrial profits are up 20.4% year over year with their August numbers. And again, I know Mr. Flanagan's going to jump on me and tell me, do you trust Chinese numbers? I don't, but I have to report the news.
I don't necessarily always agree with the Chinese, but the Chinese want to play in an international world, and they can't fudge numbers every time, all the time. They'll be thought of as liars and cheats, and eventually they'll be out. So there's a separation. Yeah, I agree with Steve that numbers are suspect, as we say.
And the other part is that you know, like all governments, because I would say we see it in our own very much too, they promise a lot and don't always deliver. In other words, they're good at announcing stimuluses, not so good at actually getting the stimulus to where it needs.
I agree with that. Yes.
Sort of like the old Seinfeld. You can take the reservation, but holding the reservation is the hard part.
Right.
So advanced decline at 800 continues to move to the downside. But again, with that being said, technology does not care because the Q is up to the upside now, threatening to break to 601. As you said, it's even the market's a little bit of a dichotomy, right? Tech and AI running, and obviously with the Dow Jones down 3% here. Industrials and the others, if I'm looking through the sectors, I'm sure I'm going to see that. And we do. Energy down about 1.5%, obviously, on the low oil numbers or oil prices. Utilities down a 0.5 percentage point here today. Consumer staples down 36 basis points. Healthcare 38 basis points. Those are the ones that really matter. Real estate down slightly, around 12 basis points here. And technology up over 1 percentage point so far this morning. QMMM now running up 19.4% here today. QMMM, one of the digital asset treasury companies, excuse me. There, Pony AI up 10.86% here so far today. OnDesk Holdings up 9.9%. ScanDisk continuing to move back to the upside, almost at their all-time highs here at 106.80, trying to hit all-time highs at 110 and change. Western Digital, we've talked about a bunch, up 9.6% here this morning, and they are at 52-week highs. And Seagate Technology, so it's all about the sort of old technologies, new technology.
Took off here.
Up about 7.23% here today. Credo up 6.14 again. It's all the tech names. We're back in space today, Steve. ASTS Space Mobile up 5.6. Whoa, that's a jump, 6.35. As I put my little pointer on it there. I mentioned iron a few times already, up 5.4%. EA up 4.88%. At least people are paying attention today. That's trading below the 210. It's not trading above it like we've seen on some of these deals. I know my man Ron Williams is looking happy today. Clean Spark up about 4.78% this morning. Micron up 4.56%. Nice move up by Hood, 4.49% here. Almost back at all-time high.
Bank now is warning of a bubble risk in the S&P 500. Says analysts are now flagging overheated valuations and exuberance of investors. Raises the concern over the sustainability of the U.S. equity rally.
Yeah, it's a tough one for every. I spent some time last night and this morning, and it's two sides of a coin, man. For every positive or every negative thing you see, there's another positive one from another analyst. So
another headline coming out now. 22% of U.S. mortgages now above 6%. It's the highest in 12 years. The growing percentage of Americans struggling with higher mortgage rates signals increased pressure on households and the housing market.
Yeah. I mean, there is no doubt. It's more the prices of homes than those rates, as we've pointed out, though, because those rates aren't even close to what our
go up, home prices go up. It becomes the most unaffordable.
Or that there needs to be a reset there. It never seems to be. Boeing getting hit here now, down about 1.74% here. They were a pre-market gainer.
Yeah.
And that was on the news that they had restored Boeing's ability to certify safety for the new 737 MAX and the 787 Dreamliners. So
that's on the lows of the day now. Bitcoin. My man.
Yeah. The problem is it did it before we got our open today to get in there. I said over the week, it was very similar to the drop, especially across Bitcoin that we saw right here back on August 29th, and we sort of consolidated for 3 days before taking off. I said in my crypto room that was what to look for. It started taking off yesterday, continuing up today. We're coming up on some key resistance. So this was the edge. If you hit 113.5, you've got the next wave of liquidations, but this would be where I would start to be fading for the day. We're at sort of the ATRs on everything now. Solana, though, has got a chance to pop to 225 here if it can get a little bit of upside. And Ethereum's definitely got more upside to 4250 is where I think we start to see the key resistance there. So yeah, nice recovery. I guess we're not dead yet. I remember someone on vacation saying we were. Looking at you, sir.
What's that?
I said, I guess we're not dead in crypto yet, but I remember someone who was sounding a lot of alarms while on vacation last week. I mean, I know you weren't on vacation, while traveling last week.
That was not a vacation, my man.
While traveling last week, someone put in, "This is it. Here it is." I don't remember who it was, but his initials might sound like Stephen Orr.
Or something BB. Look, I was right. It sold off, right? I mean, and we got it. And then over the weekend I bought back in on Sundays. Let me ask this question, Howard. Is it? Are we back to the Sunday night? Put money back in.
In this case, yes.
Hold on, let's go.
In this case, when it drops. So no, it hasn't been, Steve. In other words, no. What it always was before is Sunday at 6 o'clock is when, Asia opens up their markets. And what we had seen for years, Asia led the way when it came to crypto. Right. So they would start the markets off and you'd get that first firework at 6 o'clock or so on Sundays. And now what we've seen is a little bit of the opposite, quite frankly, where it's sort of been a sell-off as Asian markets, because that's the whales that are distributing into the market. So today was nice to see the opposite. I quite honestly didn't expect it to start till this morning and even until this afternoon. It started a little bit earlier. So the interesting thing there is we don't normally see Asian market pick it up. Right now it did. So that's even stronger side because that's where the distribution has been happening from whales. So they decided
stupid. Tesla now still signing up
back in.
No, the old days it was like sell on Friday and buy on Sunday night, right? That would happen.
Now it's a little different because what happens is that where you're getting that now is it's interesting. It's been the change because when do futures open on our CFTC regulated exchanges nowadays? Yeah. So it's, we've got a lot of changes to the structure of crypto, since the advent of ETFs. Now 930 matters where 930 never mattered. And now it is important because what IBIT does at the cash open matters. And again, like I said, you now see most afternoons, there's a pretty decent little pullback around 3:30 almost every day as the institution sort of trap those retail and margin traders.
A 100% tariff on any movie made outside of the United States.
We don't import a lot of movies. I guess that does matter.
That would hurt Netflix, folks, ladies and gentlemen. That would destroy Netflix. That was their cash cow for the longest time. That should hurt Netflix here. 12.16 here, 42. Not pushing it yet, but it will. The distribution of those movies. That would definitely hurt their bottom line because that was where their big money was starting to make was in the here we go. A little bit of selling here, just a little bit on Netflix. 12.16 now, 02. Now 12.15. Yeah, here we go. Yep, another dollar coming down. So that could be the beginning of this. I caught this quick, and maybe this might affect it here. I don't know. Tesla down the lows today.
Tick still sticking to the downside now. Q still moving to the upside. 601.50. Again, this is technology driven, and it's NVIDIA driven up 2.92% here. So NVIDIA a beast.
Tick now down 22. So 12.14.05 now here on Netflix. We might have caught this early here before the rest of the market catches it. We're hearing that there's a massive internet outage in Afghanistan. They call that a Wednesday. All right. One stock that I did call out to everybody here a few weeks ago was SSYS, now at 11.53 now a share. It's jumped up. The other one that I'm looking at right now is Kenvue, KBUE. That's Tylenol for those of you who don't know the deal, what's going on there. I don't think it's really going to affect the company too much. I don't think the nut jobs that believe that nonsense still, the autism linked to Tylenol. NVIDIA pushing up here, 276, up 2.76% on the back of Jefferies raising their stock price on NVIDIA again, the 200.
Copper up another 1.8% here again. Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
Yeah, I actually mentioned that several times. The copper was one of those stocks or one of those metals that did push up here. 12, 14, 16. Netflix about to hit the low of this last 10 minutes here.
Coinbase up almost 4% here this morning, too. Nice little jump up. So crypto stocks in general having a solid start to your day. CleanSpark now up 7.72% here this morning. BMNR up 5%. Circle up 5.59%. So nice move up by the crypto stocks. Same thing, chips being led by NVIDIA up 2.92%, ASML up 1.5%, AMD up almost 2%.
12.13 now on Netflix. We're slipping still on Netflix.
Google, nice jump up today, back above 251 here.
Oh, there you go. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG, just bought $15,000 worth of Bitcoin in IBIT.
Good for her.
Tick now up 150 here. WTI now lows the day is now 63.47 now a barrel, as you're seeing silver slipping as well. 46.50 now an ounce. So, maybe some of that profit taking starting to hit. Tesla now at 443. I'm really pissed at myself on Tesla. Dang, Howard. I got that nailed that pretty hard.
Okay, I do see Mr. Flanagan entering the room here. Let's switch.
Let's bring that boy in.
Bring him in. I'm going to step away for 1 second and let you gentlemen have at it. I am here, though. I am here as a referee, so boys play nice. Mr. Flanagan, how are you doing today?
Forever. Okay, Steve, let's get to it.
Yeah, let's go.
Your boy is still committing chaos. I'm calling it the chaos. This market is nothing but chaos everywhere. Is it really chaos?
Out of chaos comes order, Steve.
That's right. But the question mark has to be who is benefiting and who is hurting, Steve. The markets are at all-time highs. Inflations are pushing up. We're still seeing stagflation's happening. We can argue about that as my point, stagflation. What are you seeing right now? I mean, the dollar, I was really getting excited over the weekend as I'm trying to make plans for Japan. But we're back down. What am I missing?
I don't think you're missing anything, Steve. I am concerned. Anytime, you look at a government shutdown, it's going to affect all of us, no doubt about it. I don't think it's a very big deal because, at the root of it, I mean, if you dissect what the sides are arguing over right now, it is fairly ridiculous. They found a lot of fraud in certain areas, Medicare and some of those. And when you take the fraud out, it represents a budget cut. So to say that, well, you can't make the budget cut, I mean, it's just silly that the political operatives are arguing over this, which affects every one of us down here, here on Earth. I'm more concerned over the potential of this happening as Q3 closes with equities at all-time highs, and the dollar roughly at lows of the year, roughly, within some percentage, but on the downside. And what happens at Q3 on the close Tuesday? The major fund managers balance books. When they balance books, they take overweight positions and sell and buy underweight to rebalance the books.
Okay, but you and I have been in the business a long time. What if I said to you that I think it's the old adage? This we'll go back and I'll explain what I'm going to say to you. It's window dressing. Now, for those of you who don't understand, window dressing means it makes the books look good, so that makes the books look good for the outside investors, and then they move money back around on October the 1st, right? That's called window dressing for those of you who don't know. See, what if I call this window dressing?
Okay, call it window dressing. A government shutdown adds, though,
Right.
to signal of fiscal dysfunction in the United States.
What was the first word I said, though? It was chaos, right? We got chaos.
Absolutely. The bottom line, let's jump to my conclusion, is you look to buy the chaos, the dysfunction, sell-off. No question about it. This is an opportunity to an investor. As a day trader, you're jumping in and out, and there's plenty of opportunities because the volatility spikes. But from the investor point of view, once they sort this out and function returns from chaos, the opportunity to get certain stocks, maybe 5 to 10% lower, is a great idea.
Certain stocks. Which stocks?
Tech.
Okay, gotcha. You know what? That's exactly what I said at Schwab. I said, you know what? Tech's the play. Tech's going to get us out of there. And when we do see it, and it was interesting. Nicole Pedalides on Schwab, she nailed me down. She's like, look, Steve, all right, give me the numbers. And I said, look, 10% pullback is a healthy correction. 20% the world's ending recession. I said somewhere between 12 and 17%. Do you agree with that? A pullback?
I think between 5 and 10.
5 and 10. Okay. All right. That's a healthy pullback then. So you don't think the world's that bad. You think this is a normal, healthy pullback.
I do think the world is bad.
Okay.
Europe has got a major problem, right? I mean, they're talking that interest rates at 2% have hit the lows, and that's it. Hello. Switzerland is at 0%.
Zero. Yeah.
Europe, the only way Europe could begin saying that this is the lows is if we begin to see economic growth. Now, in Europe, they love to applaud economic growth of 0.1.
That is true. I mean, Christine Lagarde was excited about 0.2% growth when it was like, 2 years ago.
And it's important that we understand that there's 450 million consumers in Europe, much larger than the United States. So right. 0.1 is not going to sustain an economic system.
No.
You've got France, the number 2 country, with all sorts of problems. So, Steve, I look at the world and I see weakness. I mean, I don't see China as being they're still spiraling into a deflation.
Their manufacturing numbers were up. Howard talked about that this morning. I was glad Howard brought that up. And of course, he also brought the fact up that you don't like China's numbers. You don't always agree that they're right. And I agree with you on that. But at some point, China's numbers have to be somewhat close to being right, because if they're playing on the international standard plane, then they pretty much can't lie too much, but they'll get caught eventually, right? I mean,
right. And I'll take it. The manufacturing numbers were, a little bit on the upside.
You will accept their numbers as manufacturing.
It's coming off of a lot of declines. Number 2, China is faced. They left interest rates at 3%, and China is faced with deflation.
That's right. They are. They totally are. But they also peg their want too. So I mean, is there? Do you see the renminbi or the yuan being a player here soon? I mean, I think they're setting their own standards pretty much, right? I mean, okay. Yeah.
So when you look around that, you say, okay, everybody, China's a great offset to the dollar. Dollar confidence is eroding. Okay, no, China's.
But why? You've heard almost 3 people on CNBC this morning talking about how and the institutions are piling into Chinese stocks. So what's the thought behind that when we know that they peg their currencies? Obviously, they don't live by the same rules as we do. What do you say to those people that those institutions that are, betting pretty heavily in China right now?
They are, and it's definitely been sold. And like I said, I've been talking about that ETF Dragon, which is very high tech. in the Chinese market, and I am
Yeah.
long on that myself. So
Okay.
I do think that there is good money and good opportunities in China, but as a alternative investment to the world, no.
Got it.
Why? Because it's a controlled system. So it's a Roach Motel. You get in, but wait
Get out.
till you try to get out, right? So
When mama's coming down with a wheelchair and the guy's got, Anthony Perkins has got the knife right behind your back like psycho. Okay. All right. Let's talk about that. And Mike, sure, my man, profit trading. What's up, dude? Thanks for posting the stream. Okay. Let's talk about it then. Over the weekend, I was in DC. There were two things that were talked about over the weekend, and it was nice to be able to talk to a lot of friends that that pretty much run the world. Two things I talked about, and it was heavily talked about: Taiwan and Ukraine. DC doesn't usually talk about war and possibilities of war. They talk about economics and geopolitical issues, and they also, I'm sorry, I should also say, talked a lot. There's a lot of conversation around Bibi too, because it was mainly because I was in New York when a lot of them walked out on Netanyahu. But again, war, right? War. This morning, Howard talked about how drones were becoming now a big deal in the wars, and we know that. And drone manufacturers are doing quite well right now. How much should we actually be worried about war? Should we actually, as a country, be worried about war?
yes, Steve, and you bring up a fantastic point in the midst of all of this euphoria and equities and government shutdown and Q3 close. What about the fact that the Europeans contacted Russia last week and said, you know what? We will shoot a plane down if it crosses into our territorial space again. The Russian, I forget the guy, the big number 2 man, came out and said the West is trying to start a war. Although, if a plane comes through Poland's space, there will be a shoot down, and the risk in the world is massively higher instantaneously. Volatility is a great hedge right now because there are so many potential outcomes in this next, let's just call it a week.
Yeah.
So yeah, Steve, I am very concerned about the Ukraine right now.
And Howard, I talked about this morning. We talk about China and Taiwan. Taiwan was talked about quite a bit, and I think that China is preparing for an invasion of Taiwan.
It would isolate them. It could be quite problematic. And let me just reference this by saying the great bear of Russia that we heard about for 30 years and defense spending now $1 trillion a year.
Yeah.
Got bogged down trying to take out Ukraine and is at war over 2 years.
Right.
But this was the great Russian army. China.
Yeah, and you make a good point. I mean, I heard the word paper tiger so many times this past weekend that I think I'm just going to put paper tigers all over my house. But even if he is a even if Putin is a paper tiger, people have died. 30,000. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Millions have died in that. And so you specifically say China. Yeah, China could beat Taiwan. I don't think that statistically is a problem. Could they take over? I mean, their army size. I mean, if you send 1 million-man army across the water there and take on Taiwan, yeah, they're going to win. It's not what does Taiwan do with Taiwan semiconductors? Do they blow it up? I mean, that's what they threaten to do.
Oof.
So
yeah, I mean, right now we're looking at the latest numbers. Russian military deaths right now over this is right around 250,000. Unbelievable. Right. And higher unofficial estimates right now on civilian deaths in Ukraine, 42,000. That's 300,000 people. That's a mid-sized city.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it's a horrible loss of life. It really is. And when you come right down to it, Russia has lost a generation of military people that have been put into service. You know,
I'm sorry, and I missed something here. Ukrainian soldiers with total military casualties now reaching 400,000. My bad. Holy moly.
I mean, Russia's had to ask for North Korean help, right? So, I mean, it's horrible. Would China lose a lot? Yes, they definitely would. Would it, in an economic downturn, which they are in? Remember, China, India, they need growth rates of 6% or better because of the size of the population. China's growth rate, last I saw, dipped under 5%. That's not a very good thing. So, okay, they have a president for life, but still, look what happened in Tibet recently. This is not a situation where people are just going to, when their son and daughter are forced into going and just die to take over Taiwan, a political ambition. It's not going to help a situation. At some point in time, authoritative leaders are going to suffer the fate of the populace. And I think that will happen around the world. I don't think China will invade Taiwan. I think that
Why?
Because one of the largest investors in China is Taiwan.
But if you talk about it from Xi Jinping's perspective, do you think he cares about that big investor? I mean, the last time they had a big investor in Binance, he damn near killed him.
Ultimately, it comes down to a business relationship that could work together. Why disturb it? If you can politically influence Taiwan, what's the big deal? Why waste the backlash across the world? What happens when Australia goes?
Well, I don't think the world's in love with China.
I don't think so. But invading Taiwan and
that would definitely wipe any good feeling out of China out. Right? Yeah, I agree with that.
And then watch what happens in Australia. Watch what happens in New Zealand. Watch what happens in Vietnam when they all say, "Hey, whoa, you know, are we next?" Because that's obviously the historical thought about that. The Philippines, and that could create an alliance that doesn't work in China's favor. So I don't think they invade Taiwan. Why risk it?
I'd point out that watch what happened in Hong Kong. An economic sort of takeover is what happened, right? As opposed to a physical takeover. They use the heavy hand to force their way into the financial markets, into the sort of interworkings of it, and then before you know it, it's sort of put back.
I have to follow the money. And that's what I always say, follow the money. And China's biggest investment in defense was in amphibious vehicles. That was their biggest investment. And I mean, they really, really spent big money on amphibious land assault. There's no other reason than to cross the straits, Taiwan Straits, from China.
Without getting into nasty particulars here, if you think about what happened in the Korean War, they pushed up to the Yalu River, and wave after wave of Chinese infantrymen, basically the other side ran out of ammunition. That's a horrible loss of human life, which would happen in an invasion of Taiwan. Steve, you're right. If they use all their amphibious, they would overwhelm Taiwan's defense and easily take over that country. But the backlash internationally. Now, the risk that you're raising here, with a backdrop of what's going on in Ukraine, if something were to happen in Ukraine, a Russian jet violates Polish airspace and is shot down, using that as a backdrop to invade Taiwan while the world is looking into the Ukraine, would then have you start to worry about the recent handshakes of those leaders that we just all saw publicly, and start to worry what's going on in the world. That is an increasing risk in this geopolitical sphere right now. No question about it. And I think that's why you're raising it, because as we started talking, geopolitical risk should be priced much, much higher right now.
That's my point. Chaos is a word I used with you earlier, right? Chaos is reigning right now. Yeah. But why do you think that the retailer's still buying?
Because the retail sees this as just another, a 2-day, action, and then it's over. And I sold off and I missed the opportunity to get back in.
FOMO.
And none of these retailers lived through 99. They didn't trade in 2008. So they don't realize that there can be a 25, 30% pullback. They think we're insane.
That's right.
They do. I had that very talking. You're right.
Yeah, I mean that's the difference. Is it really is you have the retail trader that came in during COVID. They haven't lived through. They bought the dip in COVID and that worked, and now they've been buying every dip ever since. So that would be my.
I hit 114 here on Bitcoin here, Howard. You called.
Yeah, I had put in a thing about it. Yeah, this is the squeeze. 13.5. Once it hit it, it will go to 14.250. Oh, there it goes. 14.250. Pretty quick here, right at the edge of the squeeze.
What is that telling us, Steve? We're talking about a rise in geopolitical risk throughout the world.
Right.
And last night, in early trading in the futures market, Bitcoin turned radically off the lows, and so did gold, silver, Bitcoin. These are the prices, and that's why I always say focus on price. The prices of the world are telling you where the risk is. I think that the scenario here, the soup, is almost a perfect mix right now for a major,
we're hearing reports that the U.S. is considering Ukraine's request for long-range Tomahawk missiles. That's according to WAPO right now.
There we go.
Yeah. I mean, the president has made a switch there where he realized that shaking hands was not going to end the war. So now he's going to use his threat of major might as the answer, in my personal opinion.
But
I mean, that should hit the markets. I mean, if that doesn't hit the markets, then something's wrong here.
Yeah, the three of us talked about this the day Putin and Xi shook hands.
There it is.
And we all said it. Wow, this doesn't look, the optics of this, something's up.
Yeah.
But you're talking about a president who said, I will end the war from day one.
Well, Steve, I mean, come on. There has been
politics. Yeah, come on. Steve, come on. When is a politician given an accurate description of anything?
Right. But there have been president for a year now.
But there have been major attempts at doing that, right?
You do have to give the president a lot of props for that. But he did it on the premise that he was friendly with Putin, and Putin's not a bad guy. Remember during the campaign, boys and girls, the Republicans were loving on Putin. They loved him. He was a democracy lover. That's why we're going to vote for Trump, and Hillary's wrong, and Kamala Harris is wrong because they didn't like Putin. They knew what she was about. But now we have this. Come on.
Politics aside, let's remember Putin, former KGB.
Exactly.
Okay, end of story. Period.
He's looking for one thing, his legacy, and he thinks his legacy is all about the NATO. Well,
he's looking to reestablish the USSR. Right. Unfortunately, that's a very sad point.
Okay, you think that? Wow, that's terrible thing. Is our chair against the wall? I mean, is that what's happening here?
I mean, listen.
For those of you who don't know what I mean by that, that's World War II saying. Backs chairs against the wall, meaning that there'll be a big front, Soviet Union, the wall between Soviet Union and Europe, which pretty much is there now. But this could be a wall again, and our chair against the wall is an old saying. So is this chair against the wall time again?
Well, I listened to that speech that him and what was that guy? Tucker Carlson. They had that sit down.
You lost me at Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, I know. I was hesitant to bring that name in, but they did have a sit down, and I listened to the whole thing because I wanted to hear Putin really speak. What a historian this guy spoke, and he speaks of the historical importance of Russia, Mother Russia. So I mean, and just using that interview. This guy wants to reestablish the firmness of Mother Russia.
Exactly. And I think anybody who discounts Putin is wrong. He is a strong leader. He is not stupid. He is very smart. He has made very good moves. I just don't like him I just don't like his politics. I don't like killing people. I don't like genocide. I don't like his reasons, the lies he pulled about Jews. He hates Jews because and that's what's happening, and he doesn't want NATO expansion. I don't like. But anybody who says, "Oh well, we'll take care of Putin," he's a paper tiger. He ain't a paper tiger.
Not a paper tiger, definitely
right.
Not. Right. And I would imagine at some point, very much like other authoritative leaders in the world, eventually, the oligarchs will end up taking him out, because you cannot
but replaced by another. But the oligarchs took him out. They replaced him with another oligarch. I mean, he didn't get there because the oligarchs put him in, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Okay. So the oligarchs have put their next one that they can control. Right now, they can't control it.
They can't. That's the key, Steve.
Right.
So let's see what happens. But there's no doubt. What currencies are telling me, the dollar's retracing, the Dixie, made a new high, but we did not break the 98.83 level that we talked about. Yep. I think that you could see the dollar suffer here a bit. But let's see what happens with the sit down of Trump and the Democratic leaders. If they come out and suddenly agree, wow, the scenario turns on a dime.
Love it. Steve Flanagan, as always, currency man, the myth, the man, the legend. All right, my man. We'll see you back on Wednesday, and look forward to tomorrow. For all you the Quasar Markets Lives, thanks, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.